Hello everyone, and welcome back to another one of our video game tier lists. In this video, I'm going to be ranking the characters of Doom the Dark Ages based on their thickness, or in other words, how dummy thick they are. The ranks of today's contenders will focus on the size of their bodies and the thickness that they encompass, most examples in particular being the ass cheeks. So, without any further ado, let's jump right in. First up on our list, let's get the shortest category of character out of the way, the Makers. The Maker drones are basically the same as they were in Eternal, but since this is a prequel story, we learn that they have retractable arms. That's about it. Their arms aren't particularly thick either, since they're all spindly and tentacular. I'm going to give them an upgrade from the last ranking from E tier to D tier, simply because they're shaped somewhat like columns, and columns are relatively thick objects. Not an amazing start, but hey, the drones at least got a boost from the tier that I made up because it never made sense by grading systems, skip the letter E. Oh man, we got some super impressive thickness here from the Creed Maker. This guy sure is making up for the lacking effort and thickness put in by the other Makers. Most Makers just hover on their own, but this guy is so morbidly spherical that he's got to have a chair floating him all around. By all means, technically, this guy should be S tier, but we find out near the end of the game that he's just made of a bunch of little leech things. I'm not positive on whether those are actually an extension of his body or are separate creatures. If they are a part of him, I guess it counts, but if not, I feel like it's cheating since this is actually what he looks like. Still bulbous, but not nearly as thick. Nonetheless, for the sheer thickness that may or may not count due to semantics, I'll plop him in B tier. This faker of a maker will not be an S tier partaker. With those guys out of the way, let's move on to the Night Sentinels. It's hard to fully tell due to all the armor these guys wear, but as far as I'm concerned, all but one of the main Sentinel characters are of A tier thickness. King Novik's got abs beneath his gear, Commander Thera has a beautiful set and rear. Commander Valen has thick arms to flex, and his son Marok has the future to be even thicker, I'd bet. So yeah, I believe that these four deserve A tier for their warrior workout routine, all except for one, Daig Lorik. We haven't seen much of this character as of now, but with what we have seen, he's just a spindly older dude. I'm placing him in F tier. Nothing personal, man, but compared to the other Sentinels, come on! The only reason I'm counting the Sentinel Atlan as a character is that it has a model viewer. It's really just a mech that the Slayer controls, but it is a fairly thick mech at that. Since this suit isn't a life form, I can't give it too high of a spot, especially if I'm to stand by my augmentations don't count stance from the Eternal video. But just know if it were a living entity of its own, it'd be a solid A tier. Otherwise, I'm putting it at C tier. If you don't think it should count, you can subtract from the list one amount. Out of the dragons that have been present throughout these new Doom games, Surratt is for sure the thickest. He's also the only one listed as a character in this game, so I'm not including the other ones. He's a fairly fit steed for the Slayer, but since he does have replacement parts for his face, wings, and forearms, it's hard to tell exactly if that's how thick he was before his injuries in battle, or if the Slayer beefed him up. Proportionally it seems right, so I'll give Surratt the benefit of the doubt. Besides, I don't think the Slayer would cheat the size of his dragon like how the Creed Maker cheats his rotundness. Surratt gets a B tier. Let's get to what I know most of you guys are here for, the Demons of Doom the Dark Ages. Let's start off with what I originally first ranked, the Zombie Soldiers. This slot will include the Soldier, Shield Soldier, and Chain Gunner Soldier. Has much changed? Is their past iteration thicker? Not really. While these Hell Warriors have a different design going for them, one that exposes more of their muscles, they're still C tier. These guys know how to be consistent, and from the middle, they won't be distant. Lost Souls are a little thicker than they were in Doom Eternal. They harken back to the classic appearance of the demon with a bigger skull and size. That said, they're still a horned skull with nothing else to boot. It barely makes it into E tier. The Revenant is a little easier to judge the thickness of here than it was in Eternal, considering that it doesn't have the jetpack obscuring its torso. That said, it's still F tier. Yes, it's badass that he looks like the Grim Reaper, but for this tier list, we're not judging on how much the demons look like the personified interpretation of death now, are we? F tier. You know what? I'll give the Arachnotron a boost from its last rank of E tier. Looking back, it's kinda dumb that I didn't give it a higher slot because it is thick in the brain rather than thick in the keister, so that'll bring it up to D tier. That's not all though. I'll boost it a second time because this one's thick spider legs are actually real this time. They're not cybernetic robot claws or anything, but genuine body parts. Look at that, Arachnotron. You're C tier now. I bet your mom would be proud. The Whiplash is also going to get a boost from her original spot in the Doom Eternal ranking. We can indeed confirm now that she had a snake-like body in the past, but we also see she's got some thick midsection thing going on that wasn't present in Eternal due to mechanical parts. Still, she's overall fairly slim, so I'm going to move her to D tier. The Pinky Rider is a bit of a tricky one to rank here. I mean, do I rank the Archer atop the Pinky, separate from his salmon-colored steed, or are they bonded enough to be seen as one unit? Well, I'm going to make it easier than it needs to be. Both are C tier. The reason? The Rider is about as thick as the zombie soldiers, which, as mentioned prior, are C. And the Pinky, though not as weak backside-wise as the Doom Eternal variant, isn't much thicker than said counterpart. Maybe this Pinky is leaning a little towards B tier, but again, let's not overcomplicate this. We see a few Hell Priests here and there in the game, and though they have a cool, eerie design, they follow in the footsteps of thickness akin to the Revenant. The Hell Priests are thin and quite scraggly, you see, so into the lowness of F tier they'll be. Imps and Stone Imps are going to be grouped here since they're basically the same but with different colors and abilities. Are these guys doing any better in the past than those of Eternal's future? No. No, they're not. As a matter of fact, I'm downgrading them to F tier. Just disappointing. I'm not gonna lie, the first ranking I was trying to give them a little bit of a chance since they're slightly thicker than the zombies and such, so E tier was more of a pity rank. Seeing that they've barely changed their physique throughout all three of the modern Doom games, I don't think they take this thickness business seriously. These guys make me sick. Stinky imps. Smelly imps. F tier imps. Now you know how I just criticized the imps for slacking with their lacking of thickness? I'm happy to say that I can't say the same thing for their cousins, the imp stalkers. Both the regular and nightmare versions of this demon are quite impressive thickness-wise. Look at this dude. He must be a regular at the old-fashioned Hell Gymnasium, even showing off some glutes to boot as well. The imp stalkers definitely make up for the average imp's weak thickness. B tier is my ranking for these guys. Not because they're not doing a good job, but there are thicker things in the Dark Ages. Both Hell Knights and Battle Knights are of A tier thickness as well. I don't have much to say since they've proven to have the same chiseled build in the past to match their present. What more do you want me to say? The Knights remain in A. Hell Cultists are close to F, but they've got enough of a size difference in their thickness in comparison to other F tiers that I think E is a fair spot. They could be hiding something better or something worse under their cloak, but from the general appearance, I'll stick with my decision. I guess, technically, the Hellcarriers, ships, and tanks count because they're made of living material? It's kind of another buff totem thing where it sort of counts since it says so? Well, I've already made this section, so let's rank them anyway. Tanks and ships will rank in E for some wide thick parts you see. As for the carrier, because of size, I will rank in D as I surmise. Prince Azric, the main antagonist of this game, is alright I guess. We could put him in C, I suppose. If only I could get a more accurate depiction of his thickness. For that he'd need to remove his— Good grief, he's naked! Yeah, because his enhanced form gives us a better look, I'd move him up to A tier. Is that cheating? He is enhanced for this version. He kinda took ancient god roids to look like this. Well, it still is a physical part of him and not robotic parts, so whatever. He's A tier. Mancubus is S tier. What did you expect? He's still painfully thick. Just a big old boy with a thick-ass gut, a thick-ass chin, and a thick-ass butt. As a matter of fact, this one puts the Doom Eternal Mancubus to shame given that he's got more girth on display. S tier all the way, baby! In the case of the Titans, both the regular one and the Cyclops, they are fairly thick. They have girthy legs as well as muscular torsos, but they are lacking a bit in hindquarters in comparison to other demons. It's kind of a crazy thing to say considering they're the height of skyscrapers, but regardless, they don't exude a particularly strong sense of thickness. B tier. Regular zombies are F tier still. These ones in particular are hollowed out and left as husks of a potentially thicker past. Sorry zombies, but you've no mass. I shan't not give you thine thickness pass. We've got the Komodo up next, which is a brand new demon we haven't had any comparisons for with the previous games, and for this guy, I gotta say that he's A tier. You'd think it'd be for his chunky gorilla fist, but you'd be wrong! It's a replacement arm and isn't representative of his actual form. No, what I'm noticing on this guy is a thick neck, some wide hips, and a big ol' beer belly. I can't deny the Komodo's hefty presence here. A is where this lizard is placed, near the top, at a big bod pace. The vagary returns from Doom 3 of all games to appear in the Dark Ages. I haven't really ranked anything from that game before, and although there's a bit of a downgrade from that game in some places, and although she's quite spindly in certain parts, her plump abdomen puts her in a decent C tier. Back in my Eternal ranking, I had this to say about the Doom Hunter.
I feel really bad for this guy. I mean, he's got the thick muscles and the large proportions to support him, and who knows what the other half looks like. It could have 4 legs. That means 4 cheeks. Double the thickness.
He was the result of a botched bod of a long-forgotten species of which we had no idea the thickness of back then. But now, thanks to this prequel, we get to see the Agadon Hunters, the ancestors to these demons. Now, while my prediction about having 4 ass cheeks did not transpire, we do get to see some prime form, and I'll be damned, I was right. These dudes totally were thick in the past, and we just couldn't see their original potential in the present. They get to stay right there in A tier. Actually no, S tier. Just because they were served a ton of justice that they didn't get in Eternal. Now the Cyber Demon was quite the disappointment in the prior ranking. Unless you count the 2016 one that I did where the Cyber Demon was S tier, and the reason that you never knew I made a 2016 ranking is that I have an unlisted video linked in the description of this video, and you guys probably didn't know about that because at the time I originally uploaded this passion project with a cynical shoehorned ranking at the end that I did for fan service that I didn't enjoy making and then decided to unlist said video for the sake of preservation so that the work that I put into it still existed but was not front and center since I wanted my original shorter vision to be the primary one that was seen by the public. But yeah, in Eternal, the Cyber Demon had a bit of a Hank Hill problem. Here though, they must have taken some advice because he is wide with pride and cheeked up despite his obvious augmentations. Pretty damn thick, I must say. S tier. You earned it this time, Mr. Cybersecurity. Now we get into the final major section of character types in this video, which are the Cosmic Realm creatures. Now, I'll be the first to admit that cacodemons were done dirty in the last ranking. I have no idea why I looked at both this and the Pain Elemental and thought they deserved nothing higher than D tier, and to atone for my sin, I held a community poll many years ago where you, the viewers, voted on what it deserved, and at a whopping 59%, it was decided that B tier was best suited for the Cacodemon. However, that was Doom Eternal. In Doom the Dark Ages, we get Cacodemon hybrids, which, as unholy combinations of Eldritch Horrors and Meatballs, become these things. Sure, it's thick in the brain, but unlike the fraudulent claim of the Eternal ranking, this one is legitimately D tier. It's mostly teeth and tentacles, and you guys know how I feel about tentacles, don't you? Also, the giant cacodemon is another enemy that exists in the game, which is fairly massive and has a much thicker build. C tier for that one. Tentacle. These are the tentacles. D tier. The Cosmic Baron, is fairly similar to its non-hybrid relatives, the Barons of Hell. It's got some beefy arms and beefy legs and fairly pronounced pecs, but let's see if the Baron's chiseled cheeks carried over in this design. No, they didn't. Okay, let's just forget that we saw that. Dude's thick, but cheekless. C tier. The Acolyte, no, not that one, is kinda thick in the hand, but that's about it. Mostly slim tendrils and tentacles under that robe as far as I can tell. E tier. The Witch is not a thick bitch. She's a super powerful antagonist and she's got a sick Lovecraftian priestess design, but I mean, come on for goodness' sake. And goodness knows the Witch has got no thickness. Goodness knows the Witch is skin and bones. Sorry. F tier.
The Old One, a great god of this cosmic realm. Eons passed like days in the perception of such a being. To him, are as insignificant as pesky insects scurrying past. The incomprehensible thickness of such an entity is...
Yeah. Cut to Ode to Joy. Look at the build of this dude. My guy is built like a bunch of baobab trees. My guy is so thick that an entire level takes place inside of him. Don't ask. My guy is S tier, clearly on the same level as the Icon of Sin. They do not disappoint with the big bad bosses of this game. Finally, we'll wrap it up the same as last time with the Doomslayer himself. His armor and cape make him appear a bit bigger than his future iterations, but even ignoring that, We all know what this demon-slaughtering war machine has under that metal, and its thickness to spare. Thank you for the demonstration, Mr. the Dark Lord, from Doom Eternal's The Ancient Gods Part 1. Well, that does it for our tier list. What did you think of it? Leave a comment if you think some of these characters deserve to be in different rankings. Don't forget to tune in next time to my ranking of Pop Tropica's islands. Spoiler alert! Wimpy Boardwalk Island is number 40 on the list, so be prepared for the others.